Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. The vast emptiness of space trembled. Where once it was silence, a great darkness unfurled, a living shadow that devoured the distant glow of stars. Planets, moons, and entire solar systems dimmed as the abyss expanded. This was no natural cosmic event. It was a coming of Knull, the ancient god of the abyss, the creator of the symbiotes. And standing against him, alone upon his shimmering board, was Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer. The surfer hovered above a dying world, his metallic skin reflecting the crimson light of the sun on the verge of collapse. He had sensed the spreading corruption, the black tide that consumed entire galaxies in its path. He had followed the trail of devoured stars and vanishing civilizations to this place, the edge of a dying system, where darkness had gathered like a storm. Then, the skies split apart. A tear in reality bled pure blackness. From within, tendrils of living abyss slithered like monstrous serpents. They coiled and twisted, forming the shape of a towering, armored figure. His crimson eyes burned with malevolent hunger. A wicked smile stretched across his pale face as he stepped to the void he had created. Knull had arrived. "You reek of Galactus," Knull sneered, his voice a guttural whisper that slithered into existence rather than simply being spoken. His herald, his pet. "I should have expected you to come, like a moth to the final dying flames of creation." The Silver Surfer remained motionless, his expression unreadable. "You bring only destruction, Knull. I have seen the void you leave behind. Whole civilizations erased, their stars swallowed in your abyss. I cannot allow this." Knull chuckled. The sound was not one of mirth, but of amusement at the foolishness of mortals. "You cannot allow this?" He spread his arms, and from his fingertips, the darkness slithered outward. It crawled across the surface of the planet below, devouring mountains, rivers, and oceans in its advance. "You do not allow anything, little surfer. You have no power here. You are a whisper in the dark, a ripple in an ocean that I command." The surfer clenched his fists, golden energy crackling around his fingertips. "I have seen gods fall, Knull. I have ended tyrants who claim dominion over the stars. If you believe I will simply let you spread your poison unchecked, then you are gravely mistaken." Knull smirked. "Then let us see how brightly your silver flame burns, before I snuff it out." The darkness exploded toward the surface, a tsunami of writhing tendrils, each one a living creature with fanged maws and grasping claws. The surfer reacted instantly, raising his hands. A pulse of pure cosmic energy burst outward, atomizing the first wave of tendrils. But Knull was not so easily repelled. The shadows were formed almost instantly, twisting into massive war beasts with glowing red eyes. They lunged, snapping at the surfer with venomous jaws. He soared into the sky, streaking like a silver comet as he weaved between their attacks, slicing through them with concentrated beams of energy from his fingertips. Still, the darkness pressed in. Knull's abyss was endless, an ever-growing sea of living blackness. The surfer dove downward, streaking through the air like a lance of light. His board screamed to the atmosphere, silver contrails slicing the sky. He drove through the shadow beasts, dispersing them in a golden nova of energy. But Knull was waiting. A single shadow-forged blade extended from the god's hand, longer than a mountain, blacker than the void.
Hey you! Don't just watch. Subscribe, please.
It was the Necrosword, the first and deadliest of its kind. Knull swung. The surfer twisted at the last second, avoiding the decapitating strike. But the force of the blow sent him careening backward. He barely regained control before a second strike came, this time cleaving the dying planet itself in two. Molten fire erupted as a world of death rose. "Do you see now?" Knull's voice boomed through the cosmos. "You are nothing against me. Your power is borrowed. I am creation's first shadow, the end of all things." The surfer wiped the corner of his mouth. Though no blood had spilled, his metallic skin did not bleed, but he could feel the weight of Knull's presence pressing against him. This was no mere cosmic tyrant. This was something older than light itself. But he would not yield. You are powerful, Knull, the surfer admitted, his voice calm. But I have walked the edge of existence. I have seen true nothingness, and I have rejected it. Your abyss does not frighten me. Knull's expression darkened. Then you shall drown in it. Knull lunged, his Necrosword screaming through the void. The surfer met him head-on, his board warping space-time as he accelerated to unimaginable speeds. Their collision sent shockwaves rippling through the solar system. Stars flickered, planets cracked. The very fabric of reality trembled. With every strike of Knull's blade, the universe wept, the darkness consuming more and more space. But with every burst of the surfer's power, light fought back, defying the abyss, refusing to surrender. The battle had begun, and only one would survive. The void trembled. The clash of Knull and the Silver Surfer sent shockwaves rippling across space, distorting time and shattering the remains of the dying world beneath them. Silver fire and black abyss met in a cataclysm of unimaginable force. Each strike from Knull's Necrosword threatened to unravel the very fabric of existence, while the surfer's cosmic energy blazed in defiance, refusing to be consumed. But the abyss was patient, and the abyss was endless. The surfer twisted through the void, evading the slicing edge of Knull's blade. His board blurred as he manipulated gravity, warping space to gain speed beyond comprehension. In an instant, he was behind Knull, his hands crackling with golden white energy. You will not take another star. He unleashed a blinding surge of pure power cosmic, an explosion so intense that it shattered the remnants of the planet below. Knull was swallowed by the inferno, his form vanishing within the celestial storm. For a moment, all was silent, and then a laugh, deep, cold, unshaken. From the heart of the blast, Knull emerged. The cosmic fire parted before him, as if afraid to touch his form. The shadows around him thickened, tendrils weaving together to form an armor of pure living darkness, harder than any material in the universe. His eyes burned with the fury of a god long before the concept of light was even born. Pathetic, Knull sneered. With a flick of his wrist, the abyss expanded. A sea of tendrils erupted from his form, stretching across the void, swallowing asteroids and the distant light of dying stars. They came for the surfer, like a tidal wave of sentient night. The surfer dashed forward, weaving between them, his speed a blur of silver light. He fired concentrated beams of cosmic energy, slicing through the tendrils. But for every one destroyed, 100 more took its place. The darkness was endless. Then Knull moved, so fast, so brutally efficient that the surfer barely had time to react. The Necrosword cleaved downward, narrowly missing its mark as the surfer dodged. But Knull had already predicted his movement. A tendril thicker than a mountain slammed into the surfer's chest. A shockwave detonated through space. The surfer was sent hurtling across the void, crashing into a shattered moon with enough force to break it apart. Dust and debris scattered like fireflies in the dark. He struggled to rise, but before he could, the shadows descended, binding him in place. The cold tendrils wrapped around his limbs, his throat, his board, tightening like a living vice. For the first time in eons, the Silver Surfer felt trapped. Knull descended upon him, his towering form exuding raw, unfiltered power. He hovered just above the surfer, staring down with a smile of absolute dominion. "You never had a chance," he murmured. The surfer struggled, summoning every ounce of power cosmic he had left. His body glowed with a desperate surge of energy, an explosion of radiant light that should have burned away the darkness. But Knull absorbed it. The abyss was not just around them. It was Knull himself. He was the void incarnate, the first darkness, the god before gods. He drank the surfer's light, consuming it, twisting it, corrupting it. Silver began to darken. The surfer gasped as he felt something he had not known since the day he was reborn. Pain. His metallic flesh cracked, his veins burning with an unnatural infection. The darkness was invading him, seeping into his very essence. Knull knelt beside him, gripping his chin, forcing him to look into those hateful red eyes. "Do you understand now?" Knull whispered. "The lie of light, the futility of resistance? You are not a warrior. You are not a savior. You are merely a broken star, fading into the abyss." The surfer clenched his teeth, his defiance burning even as the darkness consumed him. I will never be your servant. Knull smirked. I don't need your servitude. The Necrosword rose, and then it fell. The blade tore through the surfer's chest, slicing deep, severing cosmic essence from cosmic essence. His body arched in agony, his silver form splitting, the light within him bleeding into the void. For the first time in his long existence, the silver surfer screamed. The cosmos shuddered, the stars dimmed, and then there was only silence. Knull stood over his fallen foe, the Necrosword dripping with cosmic ichor. The last remnants of silver faded, replaced by pure black, as the surfer's body withered into the abyss. His board shattered into dust. His radiance was no more. Knull exhaled, satisfied. He turned from the corpse, gazing upon the distant galaxies still untouched by his darkness. One down, infinity to go. He raised his hand, and the abyss spread once more. The black tide surged forward, devouring the cosmos, unstoppable and eternal. The silver surfer was gone, and darkness reigned supreme.